Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'm going to give it a little bit of time as I see people are joining. So we'll give it a few seconds. All right, looks like a few people joining now. So we can go ahead and get started. Well, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Catherine Ness, and I'm a strategic account executive for Connexon, going on a little over 2 years. Have been in the manufacturing industry for a little over 7 years, and I have the privilege of supporting aerospace and defense manufacturers across the US and across the globe. For today's webinar, I will be talking about some of the primary challenges that I hear when we're walking the shop floors and how Connexon helps solve some of these challenges for a very particular customer. Additionally, for today, we will have an option for a Q&A session in the chat. So if we don't get to your questions today, please still drop them in the chat and we will respond to them within 24 hours. Also, if there's any content today that is interesting to you, we will share the links to that content in the chat box and it can be accessed. So let's go ahead and jump right in. As I mentioned, I have the privilege of walking through the shop floor. I've walked through MRO loops. I've walked through new assembly shops, warehousing, specific to aerospace and defense manufacturers in the US. And I hear a lot of comments and a lot of questions as I'm walking these floors with executives, operators, engineers. Oftentimes, these questions all culminate into one question, which is, where is my item? But some of the main things that I hear is, where is order number 48373 for United Airlines? Or where is that repair? I was searching for a tool for 3 days. Or which area did my component move? Someone put the tooling in the wrong place, or I missed a scan on a part and a suspect piece was shipped to a customer. Or how long do I have left until this pre-preg material expires? And then, of course, am I at risk of exceeding turnaround time for this part and risking the company for a penalty charge? All these questions and comments are things that we solve for and hear every single day. So what are these related to? If you go and then look on the next slide, I tie this all into inefficient processes that lead to extended lead times, inflated inventory costs, and frequent production delays that cause operational bottlenecks where schedules are disrupted, capital is tied up, and you have high costly penalties. Both of these are related to poor asset management on the shop floor. This is poor asset management of critical components, tooling, serialized parts, really any high value assets that are critical to the production process and we don't know where they are. This causes compliance risks and unplanned downtime. So when we think about helping A&D manufacturers solve this, how do we start? McKinsey tells us that manufacturers could increase their productivity by up to 25% with IoT and real-time analytics. Specifically, these real-time analytics, it's a broad category. So how does Connexon address this directly? I want to talk through how we address the real-time analytics and the IoT directly with one of our customers. This customer is a prime A&D manufacturer that we have supported across their entire manufacturing process. So as you see on the next slide, this manufacturer, who is ranked by ABI Research as a top 5 A&D firm for digital transformation due to their use of digital twins and real-time data to reduce production backlogs. This customer came to us with the very challenges that I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar. They said, we faced significant efficiency challenges due to material location issues, causing downtime and risking expired materials in production. So we asked them critical questions. Where's your material and has it followed the correct steps? So I'm going to talk through a couple examples of exactly where these real-time examples were impacting these material shortages. So first, this manufacturer had 3 full-time employees that were dedicated to scanning WIP as it was in the process. So these full-time employees were fully focused on figuring out where things were via manual scans throughout the entire shift. Additionally, they had a really unique challenge with fan blade production. So as they had fan blades moving through the production process, every fan blade was attached to a test piece. This test piece moved through the production process with the fan blade, ensuring that it went through all of the correct production steps and that it didn't miss any crucial steps to ensure that the fan blade was operational and working as it should be. This test piece would often go missing while this fan blade was being made. So when this test piece went missing, they ultimately had to scrap the fan blade because they couldn't prove that it had gone through the correct production steps. These fan blades cost around $100,000 a piece. They had significant cost impact of having to scrap these fan blades. And then lastly, another problem they brought to us was that they had expiring materials due to poor tracking on when material moved in and out of freezers. So as their pre-preg material was pulled out of the freezers and used for the production process, they didn't have good time tracking to recognize when they were reaching thresholds for when that material needed to be put back in the freezer. This also resulted in a lot of cost for the customer. And so we set out to solve these challenges. Okay, so when we think about these challenges that they mentioned, we identified kind of the biggest areas where they were not meeting some of their company goals. So they were missing production timelines. Production was delayed due to not managing their assets well. Customer satisfaction was down because they were not getting materials to customers on time, and they were having quality issues, which greatly impacted the customer. They had high labor costs because of the excessive search time that was required to manage all of these moving assets, and on-time delivery was at risk. So the customer said, we noticed issues with WIP, inefficient processes, and they heard different references to RFID and RTLS as solutions from the various sites who were trying to solve some of these use cases. They identified 30 similar cases pointing to a widespread need for one thing: more reliable tracking across multiple sites. So, taking all of this, how did Conexon respond? We worked with this company to figure out a scalable software solution that would not only support the technology that they'd already adopted, but allow them to introduce new location technology to basically roll out a hardware agnostic, integrative, but user-friendly solution that would support their MRO loop, support their assembly shops, and their warehousing so that it was able to expand across their entire organization. What was key for this A&D provider and why they selected Conexon was our ability to take advantage of the existing capital they'd already spent with their location technology and the configurable nature of our platform. It was crucial that the daily operations were able to manage the platform that were not non-technical staff. So this was why they ultimately selected Conexon to solve some of these challenges that I mentioned previously. All right, so I think let's dig into the details. How did we start this and help this provider roll this out across their organization? Initially, this solution was integrated into one site where they had various location technologies. So we started with RFID, UWB, and BLE as the 3 primary location technologies to bring into the Conexon platform and prove out that all of these existing location technologies could operate together. Alongside integrating these location technologies, we were able to track over 10,000 sensitive materials and track the expiration dates of these perishables, solving their primary challenge around lost pre-preg materials due to expiration times. When we implemented this solution, we were covering nearly 4 million square feet of operational space across multiple plants. Currently, this customer is installed successfully across 7 sites around the globe, but that's not where they're stopping. This customer has plans to expand to 15 sites next year and then up to 50 the following year. So not only was the Conexon solution needed to manage the existing location technologies, but also to grow and scale with the organization through different MRO loops, assembly processes, and warehousing locations. And with the introduction of those first 7 sites, the Conexon platform was able to accurately and successfully address all of these challenges at those sites. So, as we look into the benefits delivered in more detail, there were 4 benefits that we immediately identified as addressing the challenges that I mentioned earlier. So, labor efficiency through workflow automation. I mentioned previously that they had 3 full-time employees on 3 shifts, searching and scanning for the entirety of their shift. By automating this tracking and automating these bookings, we freed up valuable human resources. Entire roles were focused on scanning, and they were now able to be repurposed to more strategic functions, which was able to boost productivity without adding headcount. A direct quote from one of our providers at these shops was that the solution has significantly impacted one OEM shop. We no longer need a full-time employee to scan parts, allowing us to reassign that individual to support our operations manager, improving decision-making and time management. And this was just one shop. This was duplicable across all of their facilities because this individual that was scanning existed at each of the facilities. Number 2, better quality control and on-time delivery performance. So this is relating back to the production of fan blades. So through automated quality notification triggers, which detect and document defects early, along with improved deviation identification, we are able to identify when issues were occurring and address them more efficiently. So if we recognize with the location technology that there were defects or that the part had not gone where it was supposed to go, we would immediately trigger a quality notification, eliminating the need to scrap this fan blade at the end of the production process. You could address the issue much more quickly. So this also resulted in decreased quality notifications, better on-time delivery, and shorter lead times. Third, we are able to provide real-time asset visibility for smarter decision-making. So as I mentioned earlier, ABI Research ranked this A&D customer as one of the top 5 firms for digital transformation due to their use of digital twins. When this company reached out to us back in early 2022 to adopt this IoT technology, their end goal in mind was a digital twin. The Conexon platform provides complete shop floor visibility for orders and assets using a digital twin so that every asset that's tracked sends automated notifications, which leads to automatic reduced downtime, and it enables cross-facility collaboration. So this visibility greatly improved their effective tracking across their product lines and their assets. And also operators adopted this platform because it made their jobs much easier. And then the fourth one, which I think is really interesting, this is related to my challenge that I mentioned around tracking pre-preg materials that were at risk of expiration. This customer had a goal to see return on investment in under 12 months. So by focusing on efficiency and material handling, specifically the pre-preg materials, we were able to deliver full ROI in just 12 months and continue to unlock savings with all the other use cases that are implemented. So they set a 1-year ROI threshold, which Conexon helped us meet. Beyond cost savings, the solution transformed our materials management. The team now automates tracking and monitors expiration of freezer materials, precisely managing usage time and impacting efficiency. So there's no longer high risk of these freezer materials expiring without anyone knowing. So anytime it's close to that timing threshold of this material is at risk of expiring, Conexon sends an alerted notification and ensures that the expiring material is put back where it's supposed to be. So these 4 benefits were directly related to use cases that they brought us in the beginning, and we continue to see benefits delivered based on more use cases that the customer continues to find. So let's dig deeper into exactly what they were doing with the existing location technology that they utilized. Since the platform's goal, or the software's goal, was to essentially integrate different location technologies, we were able to prove out Bluetooth Low Energy, RFID, and ultra wideband. Bluetooth Low Energy was provided by a third-party vendor outside of Conexon, and the enabling features that we were able to perform in the Conexon software were advanced shipping notifications, alerting customers and other sites that material and MRO repairs were on their way. We were able to enable search and finding for assets. So if anything was missing on the shop floor, we needed to identify where a part, a material, an order was in real time. We use the Conexon OS platform for search and find with this BLE technology. Additionally, we're also tracking for process mining, so ensuring that the process is performed as it's laid out at the beginning of the production process, and then identification of at-risk WIP. With RFID, also a third-party vendor, we were able to ensure that tooling was correctly calibrated, that we had automatic quality notifications when the wrong parts entered the wrong cell. This was a huge one. As you know, aerospace and defense has been hit with major quality challenges over the past few years. So this ensured that every part that was supposed to go into a cell made it there. And if it was not supposed to go in that cell, we quickly captured that in the software and alerted the team. And then we also used RFID for tracking of critical consumables. Finally, UWB, which was provided by Conexon. The enabling features in UWB was automatic transactions and eliminating manual WIP counts and scans. So instead of those full-time employees spending time going around the shop and scanning where everything was, this was done automatically because we track everything in real time and deploy that to a digital twin of the shop floor. So these were the 3 primary technologies that we integrated into Conexon OS. So now when we think about the customer gives one piece of advice for how this can be successful for other aerospace and defense manufacturers who plan on adopting a solution like this. They came from a global corporation looking for an RTLS solution, pushing this down at the site level. So they knew that since they were pushing this down to the site level, shop floor adoption was key. They said, the operators are the ones handling and tagging materials all day long. If you cannot trust that the tag is staying with the asset, whether it's being moved or it's being misplaced, you will never trust the data coming out of the system. So in partnership with Conexon, not only did we help the organization adopt this at the shop floor level, we worked with the organization to come up with a change management plan so that not only were the executives and the engineering team that were building out this solution, were adopting this solution, but also those on the shop floor felt confident in its abilities and recognized where it would make their jobs more efficient and their jobs more enjoyable. And Conexon partnered with this A&D provider to ensure that shop floor adoption was critical. So that's all I have for you today, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. This customer has an extremely detailed use case available on our website. We will link that in the webinar notes. If you have any additional questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A session. We will get to them as soon as possible. If you don't hear a response right away, we will respond to these questions within 24 hours. And tune in next time for our next 15-minute webinar. It was a pleasure presenting to you today, and I look forward to speaking to you again.